Welcome to Daily Rising, Ignite Everyday Excellence. I'm Dawn D'Amico, your mental performance mastery coach, here to bring you daily mindset and motivation strategies to fuel your success in every area of life. Get ready to ignite your excellence with today's show. If you had to choose one word to describe yourself, what would it be? This was a question my buddy Chris asked me while we were recording an episode of the No Quit Living podcast. And it's a question that I've been asked a lot of times. It's a question that I've asked people a lot of times. I've asked people to answer that question for me before. And it blew me away that the word that came out of my mouth is not a word that I have ever used to describe myself and is not a word that anybody has ever used to describe me. But I want to share it with you and dig into it a little bit. The word that I would use in this moment right now to describe me that I actually think is accurate is rising. Now, the word that I told him was rise. And specifically, the reason I think that was so top of mind is rise happens to be my word of the year. Every year, Chris is in the same practice. We both sit down and determine a word that we're going to use as our focal point for the year, as that lens that we put decisions through, as maybe something we're striving for, depending on the word we pick. The word we choose sometimes is specific to one area of our life, or maybe it encompasses all. I had a really rough end to my 2023, and I knew I wanted to turn it around. I knew I wanted to not only get back to who I am, but I wanted to become a far better version of myself. I wanted to reach more of my potential. I wanted to impact more people. I wanted to become stronger in every area of my life. And so the word that I chose was rise. I wanted to rise stronger than ever before. Now, one of the other reasons that rise means so much to me is as I've done a lot of work on myself over the last couple years, I've been digging into my core principles. And I call my core principles the core four. And that's who I am to my core. And this took a lot of work for me to get to who I am, because that's been challenged a lot over the years, not just by myself, but by others. And so I wanted to share my core four with you as a way for you to know a little bit more about who I am, but maybe to give you some ideas to start thinking about you and what your principles are. What do you stand for? So rise for me stands for the R is real. I always want to be real and authentic. I want to be real and authentic with you, but more so with me. There was a time in my life that I was hiding from myself. I was not being real. I was not being authentic with myself or anybody around me. And it was a detriment to every area of my life. When I started to be more real, everything in my life started to improve. When I started to step into who I really am, that's when I started to reach more of my potential. And I started getting over a lot of the roadblocks that were in my way. The I in rise stands for integrity. I want to develop trust and loyalty with everybody that I come in contact with. But again, most importantly, I want to develop integrity with myself. I want to be able to trust myself, be loyal to myself and the things that I say I'm going to do. And if I say I'm not going to do something, I need to trust and be loyal to not doing those things as well. The S stands for strength. Strength in all areas of my life. I want to be strong physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And the E stands for energy. I want to bring big energy wherever I am. I want to bring contagious energy that lifts and raises the energy level of everybody around me. So there's a couple things that we just talked about real quick and real brief that I want you to think about. One, what's one word that would describe you? Two, do you have a word of the year? Have you ever done this practice or exercise? If you haven't, my challenge to you is choose a word that you can use to focus on to close out the remainder of this year. And the third thing is, have you ever dug into who you are? Who you are to your core? What are your main principles and beliefs? And if you haven't, that would be a really cool exercise to start digging into as you close out 2024. Your core principles do not have to be an acronym for a word. Mine happen to be because that's how my brain works best. So what's one word that describes you? What's your word of the year? And who are you to your core? Thank you for listening to another episode of Daily Rising. If you enjoyed today's show, drop a review and share it with your friends. Don't forget to check the show notes for a recap of today's message, along with valuable resources and opportunities to connect further and ignite your excellence.